Start your countdown to the most delicious Sunday of the year at Whole Foods Market. The Easter in Bloom event is on. Experience it in stores from March 29th through April 11th with irresistible deals and delights store-wide. Save on feast-worthy animal welfare certified meats like spiral cut ham and boneless ribeye. Then add a flash of green to the scene with savings on organic asparagus. Too busy to cook? Don't sleep on their crowd favorite catering. Find all of that plus Source for Good floral bouquets and more at your local Whole Foods Market.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 2099. Salt. Is it really that bad? By Riley Pearce of freeformfitness.ca. And I'm Dr. Neil, your very own personal narrator. Hello and welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, where I simply read to you from the best health and fitness blogs for free. I cover fitness, nutrition, stress management, weight management, and more, just like an audiobook, but from a bunch of different authors, and always with permission from the sites, and always with a bit of my commentary at the end. And with that, let's get right to today's post as we optimize your life. Salt. Is it really that bad? By Riley Pearce of freeformfitness.ca. We've covered a few nutritional showdowns here on the Freeform Fitness blog. Good carbs versus bad carbs, healthy versus unhealthy fats, and good versus bad cholesterol. There's one more big debate that people are having, and that is whether or not salt is really all that bad. Some diets say we need more than the recommended amount of salt, and some people are still saying that limiting salt is one of the best ways to keep ourselves in good health and avoid heart disease and even obesity. As we do here on the Freeform Fitness blog, we are going to dive into the research and hopefully help you decide if salt is the seasoning of the century or something to steer clear of. The salty link between salt and poor health. A number of research studies have found a link between a high salt diet and things like high blood pressure, which can lead to heart disease and increase the risk of stroke. A high salt diet can also lead to the swelling of hands, ankles, and feet due to salt's influence on the fluid balance in the body. Because salt controls the fluid balance in the body, having too much of it in your diet can also stress the kidneys and put you at risk of decreased kidney function. High salt diets usually include highly processed foods. Due to all the extra junk in processed foods, the risk of developing stomach and colon cancer increases. The more you eat of these foods, the more your taste buds become accustomed to having them, and therefore you crave more. These cravings can be tricky to kick, so by eating too much salty food, you put yourself at risk of only wanting these types of foods, which would just further exacerbate the mentioned health conditions. Salt can be a silent killer, but is also essential to our diet to help control fluid levels in the body and deliver important electrolytes that are critical to recovery and muscle and nerve function. The modern salt intake. Although salt is important for fluid balance and cell function, we are currently consuming too much of it. Our taste buds have been trained to crave highly sweet, highly fatty, and highly salty foods. This is why chips are what we crave instead of a lightly salted piece of meat or a soup. This is why candy is far more enticing than fruits and vegetables. And this is why donuts and cakes that are high in trans fats are more appealing than the healthy fats found in nuts, avocados, and eggs. The recommendation for salt intake is to consume less than 5 grams a day. Some of you may have heard a different number, potentially somewhere closer to 2 grams a day. This is because we should only be consuming 2 grams a day of sodium, a component of salt, in order to meet all bodily requirements, as stated by the World Health Organization. So, why do we need salt? If salt can cause so many health problems, why should we even bother with it? Salt is actually a very broad term used to describe a chemical compound. According to chemists, salt is a product of a neutralization reaction between an acid and a base. It takes a negative ion and a positive ion and puts them together to create a neutral compound. All this to say that we have a lot of salts out there. The most common one, the one found on our table and therefore named as such, is a combination of sodium and chloride. Sodium is actually a very important element in the body. Sodium acts as the bouncer for the cells, controlling how much fluid goes into and out of the cell. Fluid balance is very important in the body. We are, after all, around 70% water. I'm sure we've all felt the horrible symptoms of dehydration. Some of the symptoms of dehydration are lightheadedness, mental fog, tiredness, and irritability. This is because there isn't enough fluid in our body's cells, meaning that normal bodily functions cannot occur optimally. When our body sends a signal to an organ like the muscles in a workout, a series of reactions occur, one of which is the opening and closing of sodium and potassium gates. If there isn't enough sodium in the body, the floodgates can't open and flood the cells and extracellular spaces with sodium. So we end up with weaker muscle contractions. In fact, all signals from the brain to the body are weakened. So salt is important for many reasons, but mostly because of the specific electrolytes that make up salt and the actions they have on the body. To salt or not to salt? From what the research is suggesting, salt may not be the enemy we once thought it was. The enemy is the overuse of salt in the production and manufacturing of foods and the prevalence of those foods in our diets. If you consume a diet that is primarily made up of whole, natural foods, then feel free to salt your food. The electrolytes that you receive are essential to proper function of the cells and therefore the body. If you do have high blood pressure or chronic kidney disease, you'll definitely want to speak with a doctor or dietitian about your specific salt intake recommendations. You just listened to the post titled, Salt, Is It Really That Bad? By Riley Pearce of freeformfitness.ca. We all have someone who has genuinely impacted our lives for the better. And if you're a business owner, you need to hire the same type of person for your company. Now, it's easy to find that perfect employee thanks to Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform helping over 3 million businesses worldwide to do it all. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates. Over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates the moment they sponsor a job. I especially love Indeed's Instant Match feature because candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to US Indeed data. Indeed knows that finding people with the right skills makes all the difference when you're a hiring team of one. Visit Indeed.com/health to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/health. Indeed.com/health. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Start your countdown to the most delicious Sunday of the year at Whole Foods Market. The Easter in Bloom event is on. Experience it in stores from March 29th through April 11th with irresistible deals and delights store-wide. Save on feast-worthy animal welfare certified meats like spiral-cut ham and boneless ribeye. Then add a flash of green to the scene with savings on organic asparagus. Too busy to cook? Don't sleep on their crowd-favorite catering. Find all of that plus Source for Good floral bouquets and more at your local Whole Foods Market.
Dr. Neal here for my commentary. When I teach my students about salt and the potential health effects of consuming too much of it, I talk about where salt tends to come from in our diets. As today's author Riley mentioned, the salt shaker on our table is usually not the problem. Instead, it's packaged and restaurant foods. So if it came out of a box, was a meal out of the freezer, or purchased at a restaurant, sit-down restaurant or fast food, doesn't matter, it's probably going to be high in salt. In fact, some restaurant meals can contain as much as 6,000 milligrams of salt, or about 3 times as much as we should be getting for the entire day, and all in one sitting. So if reducing salt intake is a goal, then Riley's advice about consuming more whole foods is right on. Oh, and according to the American Heart Association, consuming less salt or sodium could save about 40 million lives each year due to cardiovascular disease-related deaths. Now, do we have to remove all of the sodium from our diets? No. Even if we cut back by just 100 milligrams per day, it can make a huge difference. All right, that'll do it for another edition of Optimal Health Daily. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And be sure to tune in again tomorrow, where I'll be answering a question sent in by one of your fellow listeners. and where your optimal life awaits.